My name is Beezito, and today you're watching a budget PC for New Zealand. Now these builds are completely hypothetical, I'm also broke as well, but the main thing that we're going to be getting out of this video today is tracking the price of PC parts through the months as the year goes by. So I plan on doing these videos once a month, usually towards the end of the month, and I wanted to get this video out specifically for a budget build before the Easter sales hit. This way we'll be able to see and compare every month how the prices change for various parts. Now of course at the moment it is March 30th, so we are still in the middle of the RAM shortage or RAM apocalypse, and we have fuel problems coming from global issues. Now I do want to say as well, this is not a PC that I would build myself. This is really expensive and I will be giving advice throughout the video, so make sure you stay tuned for specific parts of the video where I mention on how to get stuff for cheaper, or even just some general advice for buying when you're stretched to the limit in terms of your budget. And to save some money as well, before we start this video, let's hear a word from our sponsor, Keysfan.com, for cheaper Windows keys.
This guy still has unactivated Windows. I keep telling him to activate it, but he won't listen. You know what that means.
Bro, this guy locked the door again? I know how to fix this. Where's my wallet? Check out Keysfan.com for cheap Windows keys. If you use coupon code BEZ50, you can get 50% off Windows licenses. And if you use code BEZ62, you can get 62% off Microsoft Office, and they also have a Microsoft Office and Windows 11 bundle. You can pay via PayPal, and they have a pretty good customer support team. Check out Keysfan, linked in the description. And don't get locked in your room with Mr. Gorilla. Cool, so we've got our full build here. Now I won't show you the exact price right now because, retention time, but I think we've got a good PC going here for a brand new build. Now I don't recommend going fully brand new right now. I don't think it's worth it if you're building on a budget. Honestly, at any price range at the moment, I don't think it's that worth it. It's quite expensive. So let's dive into it with the CPU. First, we've got the AMD Ryzen 5 7500F. This comes in at $279 from Extreme PC. It's a pretty good price, and it's a solid CPU on the budget end. Now you might be wondering, why did I not go with the i5 12400F? Now personally, I think for gaming the 7500F is just a bit better in terms of gaming performance, and also the fact that it's a little bit newer as well helps in its favor. I think the price as well is a little bit expensive at $279, and one of the first pieces of advice that I would give to you guys is to have a look at AliExpress if you're open to it. So on AliExpress, this is $212 New Zealand with $290 shipping, then you'll have to pay GST on top of that. So it is expensive. However, if you get on the AliExpress sales like the one they just had previously about a week ago or so, you could have got the CPU for around about, I believe it was $190, and I was almost going to buy one as well just to show on video, but things got kind of tight for me, so I didn't end up buying one. But it is a solid CPU, especially on the low end. I think it is a CPU that you should definitely be looking at this price range. Now, what motherboard are we going to pair that with? The motherboard we're going to be choosing is the Sapphire Pulse A620AM. It's an AM5 motherboard, of course, only has 2 DIMM slots for RAM. We'll go over RAM in a second because it's probably one of the worst parts of this PC. But we've picked the A620AM because it is a cheaper board. This is a budget build. We're trying to stay on our budget pathway and just trying to reduce costs where we can. Now, the VRMs in an A620 are not going to be that great compared to something like a B650, for example, but at the same time, comparing a B650 to the A620, in this price category, you're not going to be getting much of an advantage. You might be missing out on stuff like PCIe 5.0 and some better VRM cooling, but at the same time, I think what you're giving up here is worth it in terms of price. Here, this board only costs $165 from Not Bad Tech. Now, Not Bad Tech is going to get a couple of features in this video, and I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but they just had some really good pricing when I was looking around. They've frequently shown on a website called cheapies.nz, which I go on all the time. And yeah, I've never bought for them, but they do seem to have some pretty solid pricing. So there it is for a cheap board, and even compared to AliExpress, this was just a really cheap option. For $165, I mean, it's actually quite a good price. But yeah, we are not really giving up too much here, and honestly, this is the board I was gonna get for a budget build with that AliExpress 7500F, and it would have been solid and good to go. You don't have as many upgrade pathways as such. I mean, you can put a 7800X3D in here, and it should be no problem. But in terms of overclocking or anything like that, PCIe 5.0 you're going to be missing out on. It doesn't really matter because we're on a budget here. Our aim is to just get it as cheap as possible, and we're going to be aiming for that 1080p resolution. So yeah, basic board, easy to go, and yeah, we actually have a fact that it has some sort of cheap VRM shroud there. Hopefully it is a bit of a cooler, so pretty nice that we have that. Additionally, let's head over to our RAM. So RAM is interesting, of course. We've chosen here, actually managed to find 16 gigabytes for 300, it's kind of nuts, but this is 16 gigabytes of DDR5 6400 CL52 CUDIMM RAM. Okay, so this is a single stick of RAM, and generally for non-X3D chips, we want to go with dual channel RAM, so having 2 sticks instead of 1, but yeah, we're on a budget, and this is the cheapest 16 that I could find. Honestly, I don't really recommend you guys to go on 8. 16 is minimum. 32 before, honestly, for me, I'd say was the sweet spot and where you should be aiming. 16 is minimum. This is really, it's not that great. But at the same time, it's a great piece of RAM for its price. Not the best latency, but we are getting 16 gigs here. So it does say CUDIMM. So yeah, I was a little bit confused on what it was as well. If you guys can explain it to me a bit better in the comments as well. So from what I found, there's some videos here that I quickly watched what it was. You guys can have a look in the link in the description, but it seems to be that it's some sort of able to hold a higher, more stable clock speed, or something like that. But yeah, I don't know if it's just some sort of marketing thing or I don't know. It seems like halfway through, from what I've read, between normal unbuffered RAM and ECC memory that goes to servers. Yeah, I'm not really sure here, but yeah, it's gonna work in the motherboard regardless, so we're good to go here. But yeah, if you guys want to give me a little bit of a, update on what that actually means, I'd be much appreciated, and I can learn something as well here. It also costs $299 here from Not Bad Tech, so yeah, pretty good price overall. Let's head over to our storage. So for our storage, we've got an SSD, just a normal SATA SSD. It is the Patriot P210 512GB SATA SSD for 95 New Zealand dollars from Not Bad Tech. I think this is actually a decent price for a 512 gig. Now there was another model, I believe the Patriot Burst for 85, but from what I found online, the P210 should be better for sustained write speeds. From memory, don't quote me on that, but I believe that's the reason why I went with it over the Patriot Burst. But it doesn't seem to be too much difference between those two SSDs, but they do use different types of storage as well. So yeah, it is a good price for $95. I do have to say though as well, 512 gig is probably again a minimum for our storage for Windows and just a couple of games as well. Of course you can go 256, but my next piece of advice, and I'd highly recommend you guys have a look at this, is looking at TradeMe. Now, I do want to caution you guys slightly if you're putting vital data on a secondhand SSD or hard drive, but I would highly recommend to go on TradeMe and have a look for some cheaper drives. It's probably something I would personally do, especially if it was a gaming rig, and I have done that. I have a few secondhand SSDs that unfortunately oh, there we go. You grab it from up here. This is a secondhand SSD that's doing me well. This has got probably Windows 11 Pro on it, and then this is just a 860 Evo 500 gig, just bought brand new. But you know, you can get stuff like this kind of reasonably sometimes. It just depends. I know these ones are quite nice SSDs with DRAM, but it's harder to find at that price range of under 100 at the moment, secondhand. But if you guys have a look around, you can find some pretty good deals. But yeah, I find it important to have a look on TradeMe, Facebook Marketplace if you really want to, but TradeMe is always my go-to because it's generally more reliable, and they have ping payment now, so not as many problems, like almost mandatory enforced. And as well, hard drives, have a look on TradeMe. TradeMe is always great for hard drives. Just don't put anything like vital on it, just games, I'd say. Nothing wrong with putting your games on a hard drive. It might take a little bit longer to load, but hey, it is what it is at the moment. I think that's the way to go for a budget build, trying to build that hybrid of brand new and secondhand, trying to weigh it up, different sources like AliExpress and TradeMe, and just finding deals in general. Amazon.com as well is good. But yeah, that's it for storage. Let's head over to the graphics card. Now the graphics card, honestly, I was a bit disappointed at what I had for options in terms of keeping this under a certain price point that I will tell you guys at the end. We've gone with the RX 7600 8GB card. Now this is the XFX Speedster Swift 210, comes in at 516 from PB Tech. Yeah, guys, this is really sad. I mean, it's really expensive. Like, I don't think the price has shifted much over the course of this thing being around. Let's go back on the price history for 2 years. Look at that, $499 in 2024. And it's still basically the same price. It probably went out of stock for a little bit. 516, yep, it's basically been the same price the whole time. And did we get a performance upgrade? No. But I do have to say, from what I had to look at this price point, below like 550 or so, I think it's probably one of the more better cards. There is the Intel one as well, but I would personally go with the RX 7600, and just for tracking in terms of going forward for tracking the price of these parts, I think this is the way to go. So yeah, that's for brand new. I would highly recommend you guys to look at TradeMe. The RTX 3070 will objectively be better. We are aiming at 1080p. It is an 8GB card. I know it struggles at 1440p. I own the card. I don't have the setup, guys, I promise. But oh my god. Okay, but I know it struggles at 1440p. I own this card. I've had this card for a long time, so we're aiming at 1080p. We can get a card for $400. That's cheaper than the 7600, and it's better. Now, the other one you can try to get is the RX 6700 XT. I also own that card. It is a 12GB card. It is slightly slower than the RTX 3070, but it has 12GB of VRAM, which will actually help at a higher resolution like 1440p. But I think I can't even find one in New Zealand at the moment, so it's a bit irritating. But I think the 3070 is the sweet spot at the moment in New Zealand. Yeah, that's probably the card I go to as well right now. So have a look on TradeMe. I wouldn't exactly buy this one brand new. If you can stretch the budget, the RX 9060 XT, even the 8GB model should be okay. But I would, if you can, try to get the 16GB model. That would be insane. Yeah, it's not that many options at this price range, unfortunately. But yeah, the RX 9060 XT 16GB is a monster at its price range, and yeah, it kind of just took over the market, that market segment in my opinion. Let's head over to our case. So the case is a Silverstone Lucid 04 Micro ATX Mid Tower. Now this one actually comes with 3 fans included inside of it from what I read from the PB Tech ad just over here. So yeah, actually pretty cool. It comes in at only $89 from First Wave, so great price there. And I think it looks like a cool case. It's got like that modern like glass on the front and stuff. If you're into that, it has 3 fans that it comes with, so pretty happy to say it's decent. I've never built with it myself, just keep that in mind. I thought it looked pretty cool. Recommendation for cases for me, just get the cheapest thing you can and on a budget. There's lots of $50 cases on TradeMe that always pop up all the time, even in a market like this. Guys, have a look on TradeMe. It's one of your best resources for a budget PC. And honestly, I mean, hey, if you even wanted to, like, just build it on like the top of your motherboard box if you really wanted to save some money. I know that's probably not the best piece of advice, but crazy market calls for crazy times. Let's just say that. So yeah, I mean, I even have like a PC set up on a test bench at the moment, just sitting over here if you guys want to just 1 and 2. So I'm lucky enough to have that, but you know, there's nothing wrong with doing it. I don't know. Never had a problem with it. So yeah, let's head on to our next part, and it's the last one. We have the Cooler Master MWE Gold V3. This is a 650 watt non-modular power supply, but it's gold rated, which is pretty good, and it comes in at $120 from PB Tech. And from what I checked on the PSU tier list, it actually seemed pretty decent. Sorry, I have the tab reloaded. But yeah, it looked like a good solid power supply from what it offered. MWE, non-modular, 650, so around about a B tier power supply. So we're building a budget PC, it looked pretty good for the price. If you guys want to recommend something better at a cheaper price, go ahead, leave it in the comments. I think everyone will appreciate the advice and stuff that we are giving to each other. Now, let's go over the full price of this computer. So the final price we have here, if I can see it, is $1,570. 1570. Now, I think that is really expensive for a budget computer, knowing how much these used to cost in the past. I believe a budget computer in the past would cost anywhere from 1.15 to 1.3 at kind of like the GPU shortage a couple of years ago. It's just sad to see what's happened in the past couple of months so quickly, or even just the past year, I guess. But last year was such a good year to build a computer, and I feel like everything has just become so bleak for building a computer. And I don't mean to sound so negative, it's just the way that I see it at the moment. I think a lot of people are feeling that at the moment for building any type of computer or a new computer. It's just unlucky at the moment is the best way to put it. Now, of course, summarizing my points for building a new computer, if you really want to save some money. So first off, make sure you use Price Buy or something along the lines of a price tracker for parts. Buy on specials, see if there's any deals that you can get. Use websites like Amazon.com, be aware of the warranty risk. See if there's any cheaper parts from overseas. Use cheapies.nz for cheaper parts if they do come up. OzBargain, the other sister site of cheapies.nz, is amazing for deals. Going along besides that, AliExpress is actually pretty good for buying parts, but, and I really mean this, you need to be aware of where you're buying from. You usually won't get scammed on AliExpress, I feel like these days, but just to be safe, especially if you're building a budget computer, I know maybe you might be a little bit newer to the PC scene, so going through OzBargain might be a bit better. And you know, a trusted seller will have more reviews and more stuff sold. Buying from AliExpress with the sale and the sales price is actually pretty good. I mean, honestly, $190 for this CPU. I should have taken it, but I didn't. Things are just a bit tighter. I'm renting now, so yeah, I can't really just drop money like that anymore. It's kind of unlucky. Also, for specifically RAM, you can do this if you can get a good deal. I will have a video when the part actually arrives, but it's using laptop RAM and a PC, like a desktop PC. You can just get in a little adapter. I got 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. I think it's just 4800, so just the base, for 100 New Zealand dollars, which is crazy price. So we'll see how it compares to normal RAM on a computer when that comes. Another tip as well is parts like the SSD, the hard drive, and the case, and even the graphics card. Have a look on TradeMe or Facebook Marketplace if you really want to buy parts. SSDs and hard drives for storage, make sure that you are not storing sensitive information on there, like irreplaceable photos of your dog, for example, and you're just putting the operating system and your games on it. And if it needs to be critical data, like the photos of your dog that are irreplaceable, then back them up. Please back them up. I really mean that. Really do back them up. And another part of this as well, for buying graphics cards, I did put out a video on how to buy a secondhand graphics card if you guys are a little bit afraid. I get it, that's normal. And then the last part for TradeMe is buying a case, or just not having a case. But I would recommend having a case. I think that's the best scenario for building a computer, to have it in a case. And lastly, don't worry too much. I think people are getting a bit nuts when it comes to building a computer, or the desperation to build a computer. I think the main thing you should be taking into account right now is that parts are expensive, and if you can afford to future-proof and you're okay to burn money, then yeah, it's okay. But I think parts are just so expensive right now, and hopefully it will fall towards the end of the year. I have no idea, genuinely. Just build what you can actually afford and what you actually need to use the computer for. What are you using your computer for? Are you going to be playing AAA games at like 1440p or 4K? That's pretty unreasonable for the budget computer. But what are you going to be using your computer for? If you're playing esport titles like Valorant, League of Legends, Fortnite, Apex Legends, if that's still a thing, CSGO, do you really need to spend more on your computer, or can you compromise somewhere or even buy second-hand parts? Do you need to buy everything brand new? I don't think so at the moment. It's probably not worth it. So, best piece of advice, what are you using your computer for? Figure that out, and once you've figured out what exactly you use your computer for, then you can build your PC on it. And I guess another last part of this, please don't build this computer. Please do not build this computer. Do not verbatim copy this computer and build it. It is so expensive. I don't want to see anyone going out and building this exact computer. And to confuse you guys a little bit more, if I had my life on the line and I had to build a computer and they gave me 1,600 New Zealand dollars, this is the computer I would build. But it is not something I would go out of my way to build right now. There are so many ways that I could save money by not just buying brand new with everything, and I think you should be doing that, especially in a market like this, and honestly, in an economy like this as well. So that's my last piece of advice. I hope it's been coherent. It's a long video. I can see we're at 25 minutes. That's kind of nuts. But I will be doing these once a month now to keep up with what is going to change. So this is our base computer for March. This is what we're going to be starting with, and going forward, we're going to be tracking the price differences every month, and if we can upgrade the parts within this budget. So we're going to be setting it at, what's this, 1570. So 1570 is our go-to. So this is a pretty solid budget for a budget computer. And going forward, I really hope we can increase our performance here, as well as bringing the price down. So that about sums up the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Check out keysfan.com for cheaper Windows keys. Use code BEZ52 for 52% off a Windows key license if you guys are building a new computer. And make sure to check out ystech.org for some more awesome content. If any of you guys are watching, I'm not even cutting this video. It's gonna go out as awkward as I can feel it to be right now. So stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.